So constellations, there's so much I could say about constellations, and I'm feeling really inspired to start sharing and teaching to connect people to the learnings and the information, and also with the intention to help those who feel called or who are curious or like, what are constellations, to know what they'd be moving towards and to tune in. The field is asking me to share. So what I feel like sharing, well, first of all, constellations, the reason it's called constellations is it's basically this really beautiful process that I like to think of as a ceremony. And this ceremony, we find the constellating parts of a particular issue, story, experience. We find the constellating relationship between the elements of that story, and we see it visually represented in the way that I'm offering it by people who are actually standing in the place of certain energies and are standing in a particular constellation. And you can also do this with objects like crystals and rocks. Now, in constellations, what we're doing is we are setting an intention into the morphogenic field, into the knowing field. And the morphogenic field is basically all of the information contained in all of the atoms and cells and energy of this whole universe. And our souls know the story in the morphogenic field. Our souls can feel this information and sense it. But our conscious mind often is only aware of aspects or parts or just little glimpses of what our soul fully is present to and aware of. And in constellations, what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to drop into the soul and to drop into the morphogenic field together to start to tune in to what is known but not fully seen, what is known by the soul and by the soul of a family, by the soul of a group, by the soul of relationship, by the soul of nature, what's known and felt but not quite known here. And we want to start to bring that energy forward and for us to get to start to invite healing. By setting an intention, we get to break down, because of course, oh my goodness, the morphogenic field is huge. That's a lot of information. And that's often where people can get lost, is we start to tune into intuition. We start to tune into maybe our ancestral field. We start to tune into all the information that's out there. And it's like, where is the boundary? How do I work with this? And what we do in constellations is we choose an intention to say to the field, this is the piece that we want to look at. And we're saying an intention both of what we're wanting to heal, so the particular thing that we're wanting to support healing for. And we're also saying the intention of what it is we're wanting to step into. What are we wanting to become? What are we calling forward as the new way that we will feel? And by stating this, we start to invite the story or a piece of the story or a piece of the felt soul movement or knowing to be represented. What that looks like is someone feels like they want to have a constellation done for them. And I will speak with that person in the circle, gather information, maybe about their ancestry, maybe about how this lives in their body, maybe about how this lives in their world. And I'm feeling into the field to see where we want to go. And then once we have a bit of a picture of what some of the constellating aspects of this particular thing are, we actually invite people in the larger circle to come in and to represent different parts of that constellation. So I like to narrow it down to like this small example. So let's say somebody has irritable bowel syndrome and they want to get to know and understand this, and they want to feel freer in themselves. They want to feel more joy and pleasure in their body. Then we'd actually invite someone in the greater circle to represent irritable bowel syndrome. And they'll come into the center of the circle and they'll start to tune in And this is the magic that I love about constellations. This person is not playing a role, they're not acting, they're not thinking about how this energy would be and then doing it. This person is purely being a channel. They're being a channel for the field to come through. And so we hold space for this person, this representative, and the representative becomes this channel and starts to notice what's happening, what kinds of sensations, what kinds of body postures, thoughts, these kinds of things. And it's amazing. I've offered so many constellations and everybody's able to do it. Everybody's always amazed at the clarity of information that comes in. And it always reveals many, many layers that were not known or not seen to the person who this is their constellation. And often what people are saying is, whoa, the information that this representative is getting is resonating so much, but I wouldn't necessarily have known to say it that way. And then let's say we start to get the sense of irritable bowel syndrome actually runs in my mother's family, and my mom has it, my grandma has it. Then we'll have somebody represent your mom and your grandma, and they get to tune into just the information from those two. And we start to get a story, a constellation based on how they're moving and how everyone's relating with each other about irritable bowel syndrome. And what's cool about constellations, I'm going to share one little other piece, is that there's two pieces. One is we're thickening the story. We're actually getting information. We're getting to see more clearly what is known but unseen. We're also getting to hold space for the actual healing to happen. And so what happens is, as a group, we're holding this field and we're witnessing this and we're going slow and allowing the nervous systems of the representatives to really feel through the layers. The field is healing. And so I always feel like it's this beautiful example of how we all can hold space and move the energy together for each other. Of course, the person who's a constellation they really need to show up. They need to be willing to do it. They need to be in a yes. They need to be, this kind of thing. But then it allows so much to happen. And I have watched so many miraculous things where people have had a constellation, and right after the constellation, they get a text from someone that was in the constellation, or something that was really stuck in their life shifts right away, or suddenly this information about their childhood comes forward, or, these kinds of things. What I also love about constellations is it's not just working with family, although family often ends up coming in because family, of course, is where a lot of our relational patterns sort of get laid. But we can work with the constellation of anything. We can work with the constellation of nature. I love doing nature constellations. I'm learning more about them right now, training with Francesca Boring. Loving that. So we can work with nature. We can work with the cosmos. We can work with our guides. We can work with the ancestors. We can work with, the heart of humanity. I've done that constellation. We can work with Mother Gaia. There's so much that we can explore and navigate in this space. Okay, I lied. One more thing. The thing about constellations, why is it maybe helpful instead of maybe something else? The thing that's powerful about group work is there are many, many patterns and energies that we have and carry that are too big for just us. So, meaning they need more holding than just one nervous system. And when we're talking about generational or collective trauma, often it is too big for one person to fully move through. And our nervous system is wise. It actually won't even allow us to move it until it knows there's the right amount of resource. So what Constellations does is it brings in a much wider, bigger field to hold the movements that need to happen. And the beauty of that is that then things that can feel really big on our own can move a lot more easily, a lot more resourced. They can be met with they get met with the support that was needed, so that it's not like it comes up and now you're just in it. The resource is right there, the holding is right there. And we can't do that by ourselves. And as a therapist who does lots of one-on-one healing, so much happens in constellations that I can't hold space for by myself. And I have had so many clients that I work with. And it's not till they have a constellation that some big healing movements happen. Okay, thanks for listening. I'm going to come on here again tomorrow morning, Sunday, on the live to share more. And I'm going to keep sharing and educating. And if you want to just learn a little bit, or you feel interested in actually coming, I am putting on a retreat with Robin Irwin, who's really magical herself, and she's going to be doing continuum work with the constellations. So a combo will be together, and that is September 23rd to 25th. So there is a link in my bio. Thank you.